I'm a small Minecraft YouTuber. Of course, I have over 10,000 hours in Minecraft. I'm a small Minecraft YouTuber. Of course, I don't build the back or the interiors of anything I build. I'm a small Minecraft YouTuber. Of course, I don't make any money making YouTube videos. However, I still make videos like it's a full-time job. I'm a small Minecraft YouTuber. Of course, I spend way too much time digging holes. I'm a small Minecraft YouTuber. Of course, Hermitcraft is one of my biggest inspirations. My favorite hermit is B-dubs. I'm a small Minecraft YouTuber. Of course, I'm scared of the nether. Ugh. I'm a small Minecraft YouTuber. Of course, I build a ton of custom trees. I'm a small Minecraft YouTuber. Of course I don't have a girlfriend. Is that a skeleton back there? I'm a Minecraft YouTuber. Of course I don't light my builds properly and mob spawn inside of it. I'm a Minecraft YouTuber. Of course I just make videos to make people smile. I'm riding a Nautilus. Oh, hey. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to episode 96 of From Bedrock to Java. Haha! That's right, we're back at it yet again. Well, this is not normal, is it? I don't usually ride my Nautilus, but after like 2 episodes ago when I first tried out this Nautilus, man, these guys are useful. I can just dash away and oh, that was a pretty big dash. Oh man, am I excited for today's episode, because man, do we have a lot planned, but I do not have much time. So today's episode is going to be a blitz, trying to get as much done as we possibly can. And I'm going to try to keep up a certain quality to today's episode. So I guess let's see where today's episode takes us, because I don't know what I'm going to do just yet, but I have an idea. Haha. Okay, onward to the episode. Woohoo! Oh, I fell back down. Haha! Again! Woohoo! Alright, so over the course of the past few episodes, we've been working around this particular area, and today's episode, I think, is going to be no different, because I've just had a blast working in this particular spot, and we just have so much work to do around here, and so many different things that we can do, that I'm honestly really excited to get back to working over here again for another episode. But today's episode is going to be solely focused on working around this area, rather than like in the past couple episodes where we had to build like this little farm over here for resin, or a couple episodes ago where we built a witch farm on top of Lucia's house. Today, I think we're going to focus solely on one of the builds. Each of these builds is completely unique to each of my friends in real life. So this one, for example, is Chris's house, but as you may be able to tell, there is one glaring issue, and it's the fact Chris is not living here. No. It's the fact there's no interior, and interiors are a really big part of every build. So I think today I want to go ahead and start at least one of the interiors, and I think to get myself back into the mood for interiors, I'm going to start working on my build, because my build is okay to get wrong, because it's a big build, and if I get anything wrong, it's okay for me to tear it apart. But I don't want to get my friends' houses wrong, because I want to make sure I can live up to their expectations and give them some really nice little gifts of a little house that lets them know that, you know, I'm thinking of them. So I'm really excited for this, because each of my friends has different tastes. I might even have some of my friends hop on if they want to build their own interiors, because I'd be happy to let them do so. I think today I'm going to go ahead and build up my interior, and I'll see who actually wants to build their own interiors. Otherwise, we're going to do a couple interiors an episode, or I'm just going to do all the interiors a little bit at a time. Next episode, I don't know if I'm going to be working over here completely or not, but we'll see. We'll see. I might just work around the rest of this world, maybe work on my mega base, maybe work on something a little bit secretive. I don't know just yet, because I just don't have much time this month to actually record a bunch of stuff, because I'm just going to be really busy and packed with things to do, which is good for me, but really bad for YouTube, because that means I'm going to be working overtime trying to get an episode out a week, because that's my expectation for myself to you guys, because I feel like you guys deserve the best content possible from me when I can do it. And of course I can do it. I just need to work with some time constraints sometimes, because time constraints lead to better creativity, because now I gotta work overdrive trying to figure out how to make a good episode in a short amount of time. Let's go ahead and get into today's episode. Haha! All right, now it's time to go ahead and try to figure out exactly what we need to do for our interior. So first off, there's a lot of things we do need to fix. There are some pathway issues, because I have this sign here, and I can't get rid of the sign until I know exactly what I've built on the inside. So this is really just me fixing up the inside so I can get rid of this singular sign so we can finish up this outside so that the rest of this build can look good. So let's go ahead and try to consider exactly what we need. There's a couple things here that I already have that I don't know if I've talked about before, but this build here is an adventures guild, and adventure guilds are really popular in anime and all that kind of stuff, and I love anime. So there's a lot of little tropes in these kind of buildings that we need. For example, we need a place to process materials so that way we can sell them to the guild. Oh, not we. Adventurers can sell them to the guild. I gotta pay money to buy it. And then we need a place to heal up our adventurers in case they get injured terribly. And we also need a place to train them, because I don't know, you don't really want a weakling to go out into the wilderness and just get destroyed immediately, because then you'd have literally no people out there. No one would want to be an adventurer. We need training. So let's start things off. This is the guild hall. This is where a majority of the stuff happens within this build. So people are going to come in, they're going to grab their quests, accept quests, they're going to talk to the receptionist, get their rewards, maybe team up with some people. This is the place where all the big stuff happens. So this place has to feel really grand. And on top of that, up there is going to eventually be my little office, because there needs to be a place for the guild master to stay in order to keep track of everyone that's in the guild, so that way things are in order, because we don't want someone to be like, yeah, these prices aren't right, I deserve more, or this guy right here is a terrible teammate, you should ban them forever, or I don't know, something happens. So as the guildmaster, I need to make sure that nothing bad happens, and I can keep track of all the things that should be fixed, and I can keep track of all the adventurers so I can punish them myself, because we don't want the adventurers to punish each other, because that's just going to lead to war or crimes or whatever. So yeah, that's going to be up to my discretion, or I might get put in jail for doing that. I might have to hire some guards. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. So on top of this being the guild hall, I want this entire build here, this adventurers guild, to be more than just this guild hall and an office for the guild master himself. I want this place to be a place for kind of like an adventurer city. There's going to be more than just a hall. There's going to be places like over here. This is the dining hall where people can eat, they can restore their, I don't know, energy, they can have parties, they can have a lot of fun over here. This is the place where everything happens after an adventure. And of course, there's going to have to be a kitchen back there. Over here, there's going to be some sort of inn, so that way they can go to sleep. They can stay here, and it's going to be really expensive, of course, but it'll be worth being able to just not have to find an inn elsewhere and then come back here to the guild and whatnot. This is the place for early adventurers who might have a lot of money. And of course, the material process, I think it's going to go down here somewhere, because it easily connects to the outside area, and we don't want people bringing in, I don't know, big monster parts like a big dragon through the guild hall. We want them to bring it around the side into a more inconspicuous area where we don't have to worry about the blood and smell of the monsters. As for the med bay, I don't know exactly where that's going to go just yet, but we'll figure that out. Up here, we do have a lot of stuff that we do need to figure out. I think this is probably going to connect up to, yeah, right here, which is part of the inn. And we're going to have this doorway out here, which leads up to this porch and this little bridge here, which I'm going to have to decorate. And I don't know, we're going to have to put some sort of nature area about here-ish, so that we can have like a place for people to relax outside and have a really nice view of the bay. Oh, it's going to be amazing. Maybe this is going to be where like the little... Ooh, this is a terrible spot, actually. I was gonna say, this could be the spot for the med bay, but it's tiny. What if we get a whole army of adventurers that get injured? We're gonna have no space for them. Oh my goodness. Like I said, we have a lot of stuff planned for today's episode, and we have a lot of stuff we need to build. There is one area down here. Oh wait, actually, there's two areas. This area right here, I think I'm gonna actually turn into the training hall, because I think it'd be cool to train outdoors, because it's kind of like an inconspicuous area. It's good enough for silence, so that way the adventurers don't make a lot of noise. If fights happen, we don't hear a lot of screaming and all that kind of stuff. And over here, I think we're going to have an entrance to some sort of dungeon. So this thing is going to be dug all the way down eventually, and oh my goodness, it actually leads into a perfect cave. This cave right here, actually, wow, I think this leads over to, is this, oh wow, actually no, it leads over here to this area. And can this thing connect down to the ancient city? Yes, it can. Okay, this adventurers guild might have a little dungeon entrance which needs to be protected, and this thing eventually leads down to the ancient city, which is down how do I keep losing it? That way. It's not that far away, and I think it's perfect, because I feel like the deep dark is a place that people want to keep out of the overworld. So maybe we can have some sort of skulk slowly creeping out of the area and all that kind of stuff, and we can have some sort of storyline with that. But for right now, we're going to figure out the interior for this place, and we're going to worry about the exterior later. Now that we have a plan for today's episode, let's go ahead and get straight into it. Alright, so I've been brainstorming and looking at Pinterest for some ideas, and I think I managed to happen to find a general idea. So I saw this really cool little build where it's kind of like a very sea-like type of build, which is nowhere near a guild hall. However, I was looking at some other guild halls which weren't Minecraft based, and one of the main things I always saw is they're very big, very open, but some of them have really big, unique things directly in the center where people can either go to the receptionist and talk, or there's like some sort of thing here with like a message board, and it's always a really unique feature that goes right here in the center. However, this area is extremely small. So I realized, well, I want this guild to still feel unique. However, I don't want to go through the trouble of trying to figure out some sort of big centerpiece to this entire area when it's so small. So So instead of that, let's just make the entire thing extremely unique. As I've done in previous builds, I have stuff like this where it's extremely unique, having some sort of like nature-like area up in places like meeting rooms, just to give it something unique that people can talk about. So I decided that after looking at all those different guild halls, I would take this other reference that I saw by Lila. I really hope that's how you say it. I just found this reference, hopefully I can put it up on screen, and I realized, what if we go ahead and bring a very similar style to this area around here? I'm gonna bring in some archways with some of the similar block patterns, except with different blocks, because I can't get all those different blocks. Although deep slate diamond ore, I'm not gonna do that. That's expensive. And command blocks? So we're gonna go ahead and use a lot of these other blocks, like these wools and prismarine and some of this purple. So we're gonna try to figure out this palette because I've never worked with blue and purple before. So this is gonna be a first, and I'm gonna have to figure out exactly how the layout of this thing's gonna go. We're gonna have to tear out a lot of this stuff because I want this thing. Actually, do I want this thing to be lowered? Probably, actually. I think it'd be better if it's lowered. So we're gonna tear a lot of this out. We're gonna figure out our shapeage. We're gonna figure out how we're gonna make this thing feel natural while also emphasizing the guild hall aspect of it. Maybe this guild hall, we're not gonna have a receptionist directly centered down this little area. We're gonna have them kind of like pushed off to this side right over here. We're gonna have like a big water feature over here, another big water feature over here, and we're gonna have a bunch of hills. Maybe there's gonna be a hill that goes up to here with like the board for quests and whatnot. There's gonna be like another staircase that eventually leads up to the guild hall, and there's a lot of stuff here that we need to figure out. Now is the time to go ahead and figure this out. Okay, let me go ahead and get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm trying to build up this interior. So this thing is going to be a little bit difficult since I haven't done an interior in quite a long time. And I think that this interior on its own is already really difficult. So I'm easing myself in by doing something that's relatively something I'm used to, by doing some sort of terraining, because terraining is something that I do a lot of. And this style of terraining is really simple to me. So it's just a matter of trying to get the interior, or well, the exterior, to look like an interior, I suppose. Alright, so I've gone ahead and gotten started on building up the actual guild hall of our adventurers guild here. Go ahead and take a look at what we've started so far. We're nowhere near completion, but with the basic ideas that we have with our little area here, this is what we've got so far. So there's a lot of natural kind of looks to it, and it doesn't really look like a normal adventurers guild. However, the thing that I'm aiming for, like I said earlier, is something that looks special. So eventually, right over here, we're going to end up having some sort of board where we're going to put up all the requests and that kind of stuff. Over here, we're going to have some areas for like the adventurers to lounge around and like hang out. I don't know, somewhere down here. I gotta figure that out. I just haven't really thought about it too much just yet. And as we head up here, we're gonna have more things. Like up here, we're gonna have the actual receptionist where all the people can come up to and start talking to the receptionist and figure out what kind of jobs they need to do and how they get paid and all that kind of stuff. And the benefit to having something kind of like this is that if all the adventurers are around this little area right around here, the guild master can make announcements up here already from the top of that area, so that way everyone can actually hear and understand what's going on. So that's my thought process on having this area be so high up. And then from here, we're gonna have to figure out exactly how we're gonna get up to an office, which I have not figured out just yet. Maybe we're gonna have some sort of plant decoration that scales the wall and it leads up to the office as some sort of staircase. I'm not sure just yet, but I think that's an idea that we're gonna start leading ahead with. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about these walls. So these walls ended up using a lot of bamboo planks, but I also brought in some sulfur, some polished sulfur, and some endstone, as well as some birch planks. I also brought in a little bit of sand. The thing that I was trying to get across here is that the area down here is a little bit darker and the area up there is pretty light. Pretty common thing that I tend to do in my builds, but the thing about this one is that I ended up using a lot more of these highlights as just accents on the wall rather than shading, because this is the inside of a building, so the lighting up there is not that much. So to make this area feel taller, I ended up putting the lighter colors up higher and the darker colors down lower. That makes this area feel so much grander than it currently is. We still have yet to do the actual shading for any of the stuff I should mention. But on top of that, we ended up doing this little arch design right over here, which uses some tuff as the accent color, and it uses a lot of prismarine as well as a little bit of purple hues from purple, some magenta, some pink, and some purple wool, I believe. Where is it? Oh, it's up higher. See, two pieces. We also ended up using some light blue wool as our highlight for this little area here. I don't know if I like it or not. I might remove it, but currently I really like how this thing is turning out. There's a lot of details we still need to add to this thing. I might bring in some copper, especially some oxidized copper bars, which is a very similar tone to this prismarine. And we can put it like here and here to help with the curve of this little area here. Now, this area has a lot of stuff we can actually add in. Like we need to add in some plant life into this area down here. We need to bring in some plants up to here, and we need to have a lot more physical features that make this thing feel like it's lived in, or well, not lived in, because this is an adventurers guild. People aren't really living in this little area. I want this area to feel like people have been through here and are currently doing things that are important. All right, let's go ahead and do the tricky stuff. Let's go ahead and try to make this thing a lot more detailed and decorated. So we have to go around this entire area and try to figure out exactly where we can place different things to make this thing feel like it is very much so a believable place. place. Like, we have these areas that people can walk on. We have these gates to make sure that people can't fall off and into the water. We have, like, this little area up here. And a lot of these things... I'm outside the building now. This is fine. This is fine. Okay. Let me get back inside the building. Why did I go inside the building? All right, so now we have a lot more work done in this little area here, and I would say that our little guild hall area is mostly complete, minus some small details like, you know, our entire office is... like, it's still being done. There's still a lot of details that I still want to throw in here, like maybe a carpet, maybe some paintings, all that kind of stuff. Maybe just some small stuff around here that really makes this thing feel messy and very much so worked in. Just a couple more spots that are also empty, like this part right over here, which I think might actually become my new med bay. So let's go ahead and walk through this entire hall real quick before I get any further into the small details of the future of today's episode. So first things first, as we walk through this hall, we have our two wonderful doors right here. I don't know if I like those designs of doors just yet, but for right now, I think it's something simple like this works perfectly. They look really strong, and if needed, these things can be closed so nothing can get inside of this building that easily. Now, as we walk in, once again, we still continue having our little pathway around here with our like little natural walkway with rocks and like these little lily pads. We've also gone ahead and thrown in some more foliage like our bushes, our torch flowers, our orange tulips, and some more leaves which come out of the water. There's some seagrass, some pickles to light up the area. It looks really cool. And these little particles comes from our little firefly bushes here and around the rest of this area. And now over here, we have ourselves our little quest board with all of our different notices and all that kind of stuff. So things like this is a B rank thing. You have to build a functional train and your reward is 8 silver coins. Over here, if you have an A rank quest to kill 30 spider queens, reward is 5 gold. And right here is a very, very hard S rank. You got to catch 3 flyfish and the reward is 10 gold. Like, clearly, whoever set up these little quests aren't very good at this, but you know, it's the thought that counts, right? We have a lot of different quests here, like collecting wheat, finding a calico cat, and like all these kind of things. It's just really cool, but you know, it's not the best quest board, but it's not the best guild either. Along this side, we have our little quest board, and as we keep going on this way, this is eventually going to lead us over to our little training hall, which is right over here, which is connected to the outside. So we're going to have a lot of maybe training type stuff around here, like a archer thing where you have to shoot a target. Oh, we got a quad chicken. Oh, I have never gotten one of those on camera like that before. That's cool. Those are rare, I think. Yeah, it's gotta be. But we're gonna have things like a target, like I just tried to show off there. Maybe something like a little dummy you gotta smack a bunch. Maybe there's like one of those things in Kung Fu Panda where like Po had to smack each of like the legs and stuff and it spun around or whatever. We're gonna figure that out later. But there's of course gonna have to be some sort of training area where soldiers can fight each other and practice. I say soldiers, I meant adventurers. But as we head over to the other side, that is another dedicated rest area or a place for people to come over to and talk with each other. Like maybe there's adventurer parties that needs to talk with one another about their plans to entering the dungeon or whatever. They can talk around here and they can discuss their plans, or over here, blah, blah, blah. We don't really have many big adventurer parties, it seems, because we mostly have tables of 2, but that's of course going to change once we get up to the dining area, because that's going to be up there later on. Up here we have Big Bertha. I haven't given her a name yet, but this is Big Bertha, the Iron Golem, who is the receptionist of our lovely guild. And she of course has access to all of the different quests and all the rewards in this little bookshelf area. You don't want to mess with Big Bertha, because Big Bertha will do things to you that really hurt. Right, Big Bertha? Don't mind him. He's going to leave soon once I finish up this area. I've gone ahead and put up some like these little bridges to get up to the top area, and these paintings which are maybe representing some of the best adventurers in this area. But anyways, like I was saying, this is probably going to be some sort of med base, so we're going to have to design this up to have medical stuff like beds, dividers, maybe sanitary stuff like sinks. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in hospitals that I don't really know about, but we'll figure it out. And like I was saying earlier, up here is our little guild master's like office. This is where the guild master sits. Can't really say here, I guess, but the guildmaster sits here and meets with different people and then talk about stuff, whatever adventurers find that needs to be done, or maybe there's quests that need to be made, and the people from outside come into the adventurers guild and hand them off to the guild leader. That's what leads this area to be so important. This is the place where secrecy can be kept because it's so high up from everything else. There's not much privacy here though. I need to find a way to maybe like put a door or something, but I don't know. That's this little area right here set up, and I'm really happy with it. However, We have a lot more areas around this entire build to actually work on, and I have very, very little time to work on it. So we're going to try to speed run this area. I'll see if we can get the med bay done in today's episode, but if not, I'm going to go ahead and skip straight over here to this little area right here, which I've been waiting on doing for the longest time, the dining hall. I want to do a dining hall and maybe put a kitchen back here, because that's going to be really exciting. I'm really happy to finally get this area done, because I think this spot right here would be an amazing spot to sit down and just look out into the openness of this area. Well, now it's covered mostly, but you know, that's besides the point. I think it's just a cool area to be in. And maybe I want to get started on this inn area. I might not get all the rooms set up, but wow, you are dangerous. I might not get all the rooms fully furnished or whatnot, but I do want to get the rooms in place so I can at least build them on in the future. Okay, now that I've gone ahead and explained a little bit of the stuff that we've done so far, let's go ahead and get back into building. Okay, so one thing that I do want to actually build in this little area is something to do with golems. Not particularly the iron golem, nor the snow golem, because those two don't really do what I want them to do. So what's the remaining golem that we have? It is, of course, the copper golem. And there's something cool that I've been seeing on social media quite a lot. I think it's mostly been on like YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that, but I keep seeing reels of how people use copper golems as decoration, and not just the ones that are statues. I'm talking about the ones that are constantly moving and opening chests. One thing about copper golems is that they enjoy looking through chests. So what they have to do is they are currently always looking through a copper chest for items, and if they find stuff in the copper chest, they take it and they bring it around the world to put it into chests. And if they can't find it in either of these chests, they'll put it into an empty chest. So one thing that people have been doing is they've had a copper chest hidden behind something like a painting or whatever, and when you watch the copper golem look through the chest, come on buddy, he moves his arms up. So sometimes you can hand him like a brush or whatever, and he'll run over to a painting and it looks like he's painting it. Maybe we can have a copper golem running around with food and taking it to different tables around our little dining area. So we're gonna go ahead and try to figure out how to do that with redstone. So yeah, today we're gonna do a little bit of redstone around our little area right about here. That's why I'm so excited about this dining hall, because I want the copper golems to be moving between the kitchen and coming back out to the tables and bringing food and going back in again and getting more food and whatnot. I think it's a really cool little opportunity to get multiple types of food getting shifted around, and it's going to bring so much life to this particular area. So let's see if we can exactly figure out how this thing works. All right, let's go ahead and try some science. Let's go ahead and see if we can figure out exactly how this copper golem system works. The way that it's going to work is that there's going to be like a table kind of like this. I don't know if I'm going to have it exactly like this. Maybe it's going to be more like so, but it just depends on whether or not a copper golem is able to get into it. So let's go ahead and try something out. So if I were to place like a copper golem like so, let's just pop him in here and let's just toss, I don't know, 2 of these. He's going to read it. He's going to go over to the nearest chest, which should be that one. Okay, go on, buddy. Can you get to it? You can open it and let's see. He puts it directly in. Okay, now let's try closing this entire thing and making something of a table. Let's put this back in here. Okay, can you take it out and put it in? Come on, buddy. Your chest. Go to your chest. Okay, good, 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 good. Come on. Okay. So that chest is not a thing. Wait, 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 don't go in there, don't go in there, don't go in there. Good to know. Okay, so we cannot have a chest that's covered up with trapdoors like that. It's gotta be open like this, and I assume, can only assume, that if I were to do this and then, I don't know, like pop this on top, can that golem take it over to that chest or no? So it walks it over. Can it open it? It can. Okay, okay. Now that leads me to my next question. If I were to just take it and, I don't know, put it underneath. Okay, now let's say I were to have it down here and there was like a, I don't know. Let's say I had my table on top, like so. Yeah, like that. And we just do this. Can he still get it to that chest right there? How does it look? Okay, you know what? It kind of looks like he brings the food over to the table. Yeah, it works too. Okay, now we know that this thing works. And all we have to do now is to build the redstone, which is really simple. I'm not going to do it here because I know how to do it. It's just a simple little hopper line that takes the item from this chest and takes it directly to this chest again. We're just gonna have to put some hopper lines down in that little area over there and figure it out. Alright, so I think I've managed to go ahead and create what we built over there, over here. And this is the dining area. It's not complete yet. I still need to put in a lot of like final details and stuff, but we have the basic system in. We only have 2 tables currently with these kind of chests because I'm pretty sure this guy right here will only go to this specific chest unless we create a couple more. So let me go ahead and make a couple more of these guys real quick so we can have a couple of these dudes just running around constantly. These guys are all gonna come over to this chest and they're gonna grab a piece of food. And they're going to carry that food right over to the table itself. Look at this. He hands it over to the table and boom. Look at that. And that piece of bread will get sent right back over here any second now. Surely. Unless I forgot to point one of my things right. I did. My goodness. Okay, let me fix that real quick. There we go. Now that it's fixed, this guy right here is putting in a cake into the chest. That piece of cake should be sent right back into here any second now. There it is. So there's going to be a constant cycle of just food going to this singular table. Okay, so I don't know if there's a way for me to actually fix this up or not, but I would like to have these guys go around to different areas around here, like this table over here. Maybe there should be like another spot over here. I don't know. But currently, all of these pieces of food are heading to the singular table right here, and I think that's kind of fun. We just have like this little, maybe there's gonna be a guy that's sitting there just constantly wanting food. I don't know. Maybe we're gonna have to put this chest somewhere further out, like maybe over here or something like that, just to give it a little bit more of a dynamic look. The only thing I could think of to make this thing a little bit more dynamic is maybe like a block, like a trapdoor here just flips up and then the copper golem can't see it. Because like, I'm pretty sure what we saw earlier is that if we have a thing like this, the guy immediately switches over to the next area, like so. So maybe if we just have a constant shift of trapdoors like so, it'll send the next copper golem over to the next area constantly or whatever. All right, so after thinking about it for a little bit, I think I figured out exactly how to get my copper golems to actually move around this entire restaurant. And I've already implemented it because I just realized how simple it actually was. So the thing is, we can actually use item filters to actually get each of these golems to go to all of these different chests to check it out. Because the way that golems work is that they pick up an item from this copper chest. And once they pick up the item from the copper chest, they will pick it up and take it to the nearest by chest. And it checks that chest to see if it has the item in it. If I have a single item in here, such as a bread sort, I named it different so that way it wouldn't get eaten up by the little impulse sorting system right here. With a little thing right there, the copper golem is only able to put bread inside this chest. And since there's already a piece of bread in here, it will only put bread inside the spot. Same thing over here, it'll only put fish inside the spot. So these golems will come around here and check each of these little chests with these items. And if these chests don't have that item, they move on to the next chest that's closest by. And if these two sorters right here don't fit whatever item they're holding, such as a piece of steak, like the guy over here, it'll actually take it over to this chest, which is just a plain chest with a little hopper line, which takes it straight back to this hopper line and takes it back up to this dispenser system and sends it straight back up to the copper chest. So it's really simple, but you know, you just have to realize that you need a couple item sorters and a simple like throwaway line where everything gets sent back to this chest right over here. Okay, so interiors are hard to actually record and show off, so we're gonna start heading into the end of the episode. All right, so after countless hours of actually working on this little build here with all the interior and stuff, I can officially say I'm pretty sure it's like 90% done. There's still some stuff that needs to be finished, but for today's episode, at least, I don't think I need to worry about it because, you know, I think we managed to do quite a good amount of work, and that guy has full gold armor and a sword. I'm gonna take this guy out before he destroys me. Let me go ahead and take you all through the interior that we have so far, because I am pretty darn happy with it, and I think it's time to go ahead and show it off. All right, so here we are at our entrance to the guild hall. This adventurers guild is just meant to be my house, and luckily, pow, I'm the one who gets to design it. So it gets to be as funky as I want it to be. Haha. As we walk into this building, we are met with this very grand entrance with a very unique looking style. It really emphasizes the fact that this adventurers guild is unique, and this one is meant all about adventuring, because this entire area gives off a sense of adventure. It's the idea that you want to go out and explore more and more, and I'm realizing now that big section of our little area here is currently being covered up by these vines, which I actually do need to trim up a little bit more. Like I was saying, this area has a big idea of adventure. So we have like this kind of ruin type thing of a bridge, or maybe not a bridge, more like an aqueduct or whatever kind of archway this is, using the prismarine and all that kind of stuff. And I think it provides just the right amount of color, which pops up against all this green and gray and the yellow around this area. And it really prompts you to come over here and check out what's underneath it, just to realize there's not really much. But, you know, it's just really cool to hang out over here. There's all these chairs and tables and stuff like that. Oh, it's a nice place. But there's also these natural walkways using these little stone, like, hop, skip stuff. I don't know what they're actually called, like stepping stones or whatever. And lily pads, which I think is a really cool combination. One thing that I know that you could not do in Bedrock was the fact that you could not place lily pads on blocks that were submerged in water. So when I did this by accident, I realized, wait a minute, let's just go ahead and put a ton of lily pads around this entire area to make a very solid looking walkway, while also having like this very awesome kind of looking path. And it works on both sides. However, I just ran out of lily pads, so you know, this side was more heavy-handed, and then I started running out, and I'm like, okay, let's use a little bit less. Overall, let's just head on down this way before we head on up towards the rest of the area. So down this way, as I've mentioned earlier, we have ourselves our little training hall right over here, We have an area to practice archery, an area to spar with one another, an area to spar with like dummies or whatever, something that could be moving on its own. I think this area has a really cool vibe to it, and I'm really happy with the way that this thing is turning out. I think in the future, I do want to build another area kind of like this, hidden underneath a building, with a lot of views of the outside area that are really small, and make this entire area feel kind of secretive and kind of like a Pirate's Cove, because Pirate's Coves are one of my favorite things to think about. Now, let's go ahead and head on over here. Oh, by the way, I ended up making some more of these cattails, but this time with the oxidized copper chains. Man, this looks way better than the glass panes. But we also did use copper bars on our bridge here, and I think it works perfectly. I think this one right here does have to be slightly orange, just so that way it blends perfectly with the pink and the purple. Anyways, let's go ahead and head on up here, where we have more of our little like lush cave type of thing going on. And up here is the way we get up to our med bay as well as our office. So we climb up our stairs here, and I don't think I've shown this off just yet. You have a nice little sofa to sit on while you're waiting to be admitted into the little med area. But right over here we have these little beds and these curtains which help block off people from seeing all the injuries, or if you want privacy, you can be in here and be protected with privacy. We have a lot of things around here. I don't really know what goes on inside of a doctor's office exactly, but you know, there's a desk for the nurse or doctor to sit at, and yeah, there's a lot of beds. There's some nice plants to help freshen the air. And as we head up here, this is our little office where we have our amazing chair, our two little areas for people who want to come talk to the guild master, and over here if they want to like have a full-on conversation about like some sort of quest that they have. We also have this really nice little overhang where we can look over to see who's entering the guild and whatnot, while maintaining a sense of secrecy, so that way if they're talking about something important, it can't get out to the rest of the guild. This building right here, I kind of forgot about. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just walked by here and remembered I didn't do anything with it. If y'all have any ideas for what to put in this tiny building, let me know, because what am I supposed to put in here? Maybe I'm just gonna have to facade this kind of thing and pretend something important's in there. We can walk over to our little dining area or inn type thing, where we have ourselves our copper golems walking around and handing food over to each of these tables. I love just how dynamic this thing is. I need to do more of this, because I think copper golems are a really fun little addition to the game. I wish we had more stuff like this where we can kind of customize where different mobs can path on their own, like these guys. All right, let's go ahead and head on into one of the final areas. So right over here, we have ourselves our actual inn. This is the place where people can stay at the guild if they would like to not have to worry about traveling to find a hotel or something like that to stay in. It's very, very basic, because I kind of ran out of time for today's episode. This thing is not finished in the slightest. But right here, we have ourselves our little receptionist area where we're going to have someone stand and like give people their keys and their rooms and whatnot. Over here, we have a little place for guests to sit around and talk with one another if they don't want to stay inside their rooms, because their rooms are really small. I'm not going to lie to you. And right over here, we have ourselves a fish tank with literally no fish, because I forgot to grab some. But as we head on up here, we can start to see some of the rooms. So like I said, they're really small and not done in the slightest. Yeah, this is the average size of a room. I'm going to cut the ceiling down a little bit because it feels a little bit too big. I'm not going to lie. We got to shrink these things down, because if you're going to live in the Adventurers Guild, you're going to have to pay a hefty price for convenience. And for convenience, you don't even get like a big room or anything like that. Ooh, this probably needs to be lit up or else this mob's gonna spawn in here. This is probably considered a comfy room because of how big it is compared to the rest. Oh my goodness. Let's head on upstairs. Oh, by the way, there's this area right over here, which we can actually open now and get up into this area. We have roof access. Look at that. But if you follow this area up here, you can follow yourself into this door and make your way back into this area that we were just in. I really love that little design there. I also love just how compact this area feels. It feels like a lot of things just are going on around here. And yeah, I want to continue doing stuff like this eventually for a more crazy-like city. All right, now up here we have, once again, some really small rooms. Though I think these ones are a lot smaller than the ones downstairs. You can't even get inside this room. Okay, let's go ahead and head on up to the final level of this build. This area right here, I might either have be a penthouse for whoever pays the most, or maybe it's like a place for a bell to go. So that way we can warn people around here that they need to get to the guild immediately because we have an emergency on hand or whatever. Anyways, the last area we actually have to talk about is down here. Ha-pow-pow. Eventually I'm going to have to build a path coming off of that path right over there and coming into this area so we can get into our little material processing area where we have our mob heads and all of our mob pieces. These mob pieces are eventually sold and used for different materials like potions or weapons and stuff like that. So the guild will buy these monster parts from adventurers and they'll turn them into stuff that they need for the adventures again. So I think it's a pretty win-win situation, but this is a really cool little area that I'm excited to expand upon because this is very bare bones. Get it? Bare bones? Ha, ha, ha. No. Oh, I'm sorry. But anyways, today's episode has been quite long, but I've been really happy with what I've done. I am really happy that we managed to finally get an interior done for once in one of our episodes. Because when was the last time we did an interior? I think it was back when we did our little farmhouse right over there. That was the only interior we've done in several episodes, and I'm not even going to consider the fact that we did the interior for this area right over here, because this is very bare bones as well. Because look, there's not even 4 walls surrounding each of these rooms. These are very open concept rooms. This is the only one that actually has walls to it. We're going to eventually work on some of the other houses and their interiors as well. I just wanted to get mine out of the way first so that we can get an idea of how to get back into the world of interioring, because interiors are hard to do. They, in my opinion, take way more time than building an exterior or something like that. I have a lot more experience building exteriors than I do interiors. I could probably get this entire build done in half the time that it took me to do any of this interior, because I have to rack my brain about how to go about making this thing feel livable and what I would actually see if I'm inside the building. I spent a good hour trying to decide what to put inside of this building, and I'm really happy I did, because look at this. It feels incredible. It's unrealistic, of course, but it fits my standards, and I love that. So if you all have any ideas for what kind of things we should put into our interior, let me know down in the comments below, because I'd be happy to see what you all have for ideas, and I'd be happy to try getting them in. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's episode. Thank you all for watching, and of course, have a good one, y'all. Goodbye! Ha-ha! Oh, finally, I can finally get rid of this sign. Oh, okay. There we go. Now that that sign's gone, we can go ahead and finish this up. Oh, man. Oh, I've finally done what I've wanted to do in this entire time for this entire episode. I'll just finish up this little area right here. Now that feels complete. Okay, now I can end the episode. Haha, goodbye.